We need the mast up in the air so it's not going to hit the back of the car. So that's what made the tabernacle the place it is. Plus the fact I can't lift the mast up and stick it in the hole. It's just not that strong. So this is the system we built for getting the mast up. Right, he pulls the pin, takes the mast support off, then shifts the mast back. I don't think you're going to have as many wires as this. String. There's 3 ropes in there, 2 of them for a spinnaker and one's the up all for the mainsail. That hanging silver thing actually tightens up the mast. The front of the it pulls the mainsail up high. What he's doing is he's sticking the mast on the pin. It's in. He just pushes on the pin and stands on it by. Right. On the front of this thing, we want to make it as easy as for ourselves to get the mast up. So laying on the front deck is this thing. So we've got a pivot, we've got the arm itself, we've got these green things to stop it from tipping from side to side to make sure it goes up dead straight, and a 3 pulley system at both sides to pull it back out. The rope he's playing with ties it to the mast. It's right the way down behind him somewhere, above his head. Put your hand on the rope, Rick, head, that's it, yeah, the one he just touched. Goes from the mast up over this lifter thing, and then down, and then this block will pull it to the front of the boat. Do with some more distance. So, when Rick pulls the string on the front, the mast's also got ties to both sides low down to make sure the mast doesn't tip and fall off the trailer. That's what Ed's got his arse on. Right, you've got a rope caught up, Ed, behind you. Still training them to notice things. They're teenagers. Thick. Or stupid, one of the two. Right, is the pin, will the pin go in this time? If you've got a rope under the bottom of the mast, the pin won't go in. Right, I can't hold it there. Just hold the pin across it and it'll just go in. It might make things look ridiculous, but it does get the mast up. The string on the front is now in the way and it will catch the front sail. So we just unhook it and it hooks on at the bottom. The tabernacle's sides have got to be strong enough. Where's the sides? To make sure that the mast don't snap them off at the deck. Right, this is the way the thing moves with a boom on it. This one's rigid, you can just see the pin moving. And that's 6mm thick, I think. The 2 blue ropes holding up the mast would normally come off. I suggest that you have a set further back on yours onto the bottom of the main shrouds. Where's the shroud? The bottoms of those shrouds have got pipes on so that they don't cut you when you hit them, because you'll end up climbing over the decks and they do bite. That's an adjustable one. Right, this thing Not that, because that shouldn't be there, because that's ours. This thing is the piece that spins round, and you pull this string to wind the sail up, and then let it go, and or pull it out again to that winds it up. Let it go, and it winds, and the sail comes back out, so that we can leave our front sail up when we're actually sailing, or when it's parked. It clips on here, and then goes up the mast. Obviously, we never leave our sails screwed up like this. The sail has got a loop in the top, and the wire that goes down the side is then tied to it, so the sail doesn't slide down the wire. This one's fixed on with pins. You're going to pin that on there. On this particular sail, the piece of string holding the bottom of it together has fell off. So. That metal thing he's playing with, I think, is called a high field lever. And what it does is it just tensions the string. Yeah, that'll do for now. And it clicks down and holds it tight. You can just tie it off to a cleat, and it'll do the same thing. Right. Can you get the jib sheets off it? What he's doing is he's letting off the green bit of string across to this one, and it's letting the sail go. We'll make it work. Before you put the sail on, this front edge of the sail, that bit, sort of fold it in half and put a pencil line in the middle, like Ed did on his the other day. Right, somebody find a bit of... If he brings the bottom of it towards me, it hangs at the bottom. Right, go back to where you were. Right, keep it pulled that way, but lift it up. The bottom makes the back of the sail go a funny shape if it's too high. Lay it back down again. Right, the way we find out where it's got to go is put a straight edge from the corner, from there, point on the middle of the front. Where the back of it lines up is where the hole needs to be for the rope to go through. So if that's pointing in the middle of the front, it's in the right place for this fair lead. Right, if the fair lead isn't in the right place, you can't set the sail properly. It's important. Right, shove the rope through the fair lead. Can you go up on the other side? Yeah, keep it going. Right, come over that side. Right. Get up on the thwart, will you? Don't worry about the knot. Get up on the side like you're sailing it and grab hold of the rope. Right. From where he's sitting, he must be able to unplug the fair lead, the rope. This is the cam cleat. Yeah. That's the cam cleat. The rope's going over the top of it. This is the fair lead. So to put this sail in, he pulls the rope and it hangs onto it so it won't come off. That's what he's aiming for, and he can put it on a little bit harder. Right, now watch. What he needs to do is lift the rope up, whoops, to get it out of the fair lead. I missed that. Pull it back through and do it again. Pull it, and it comes out the fair lead. He needs to be able to pull it downwards to get it to lock in, and he needs to be able to lift it up to get it to come out. and if he doesn't, you can't set the sail. So if you're going to put your cleats on your centreboard, you must make sure that you can get the rope to come up and down. This angle is important, and where it comes from here to here must point to where you're going to sit, otherwise you can't set it. But don't forget, the front sail is usually worked by one person and you sit in the back with another one, so depending on how you're going to sail it as to where this lot needs to go. Okay. Right, in order to set this sail, you point this front bit, so if you're where the wind is, you point it at the wind, and the wind hits it and rolls around it. It's important that this actually points at the wind or it doesn't go properly. The rest of it is not as important as having that, because this is the bit that gives you the power, I think. They'll probably all argue with that, but for basics it'll do. There's a string on both sides of the sail. When the wind hits it, it pulls these level. If you look through the sail, you can see this other set hanging on the back. If they're hanging, it means you haven't got any wind on the back. You pull the tail in too tight. If you let it out, they'll fly. There's 3 sets. There's one at the bottom, one in the middle and one at the top. I know mine's got 4 on it, but that's because somebody can't count. You only need 3. And if the sail's sailing right, then all of them will be flying pretty much backwards. You see this boat, even though the bottom's been cut off the mast, it is actually still mounted on the step at the bottom of the boat. It's not just hung, because otherwise it would break the boat. Even with the ironwork and everything else, this boat's still not strong enough without it stood on the bottom. This boat's got loads of other bits of ropes and strings, but you haven't really got to worry too much about that. This thing is passing important, but the rest of it isn't. We'll discuss why in just a minute. Right, on this boat we usually keep the main sail actually wound up on the boom because it's tidier for storage. This is what little idea what to do. Right, it's got a bobble on it. He folds the rope, made a loop, he's pushing the loop straight through the top of the sail and then putting the bobble back through the rope. The bobble's big enough it won't go through the hole, so when he pulls it, it locks it on. And you can do it with wet, numb fingers and it works every time. Right, you obviously think about the bottom of the sail being fixed to the boom so that it's flat. If you look, you can see the sail's actually buckling right out past the boom. It's actually designed to be like that. The boom doesn't make the shape of the sail. It only supports the far end, really. On the gooseneck. This thing has got to be strong. If it's not, it'll break. This is where the boom transfers half the weight of the sail straight onto the mast. And if it ain't strong enough, it will break. Do you remember the bow in the bottom of the sail? There's a little bit of string down the far end of the mast there, the sail, and that bit, you pull it out, and it's called an outhaul, and it actually tightens up that dish in the bottom of the sail. You actually need that, it's important. Otherwise you can't shake your sails properly. If the end of the boom goes up in the air, the sail actually gets twisted because it'll buckle the same way as the bottom is. So you need some buckle in it to make the sail set nicely at the top, but you don't want masses of it. So there's actually a strap which goes on the front of the mast, on usually the bottom of the mast, up to the boom to stop all this from jumping up in the air. They call it a kick strap. It can actually stop you tipping the boat over if you jive it. I don't know if you need one on your boat, but on this with a Bermudan rig on it and the Gunter rigs, it's important, so I'm telling you about it. That's the kick strap. It goes from the boom down into the bottom of the boat. How come this one hasn't managed to rip the front off the centreboard, I don't know, but the wooden thing behind it is the centreboard, and as the sail goes from side to side it tries to break the top off. Somehow or other it survives, but don't know why. Right, to keep the sail where you want it from side to side, you get a main sheet. Right, a bit of string comes from somewhere on the boat, round to connect to a pulley fixed to the boom, and back out. This boat's built expecting people to sail it who know what they're doing. Obviously it's probably me, because I don't. But what they've done is they've put a cleat on this main sheet, which to my mind is pigging dangerous, because if there's a little gust or something, you need to be able to let the sheet out. And if it's jams in that thing, the boat goes over. So until you know what you're doing, don't put a cleat on it. The cleat has to be able to point at him wherever he's sitting, because he's going to be moving about. Right, so he's got the front sheet going across the boat from the fair lead, and he's also got the pulley system in the middle, which he's also hanging on to. Now on this boat, because it hasn't got any ballast on it, he has to be able to hang off the side, which is why he's sat right up on the side, because that's where he's going to be. He's going to have his feet tucked under the edge, and he's going to be back another 2 foot probably, and he's going to actually sail it like that. That's what happens with these things if you're sailing just one person on them instead of two. Right, just to confuse matters, he's also got to hang on to the tiller at the same time. We'll go find a tiller. Right, the rudder. It has to be able to go vertical. See the bit hanging out the bottom? Can you kick it until it is? Or do something to it. That front edge has to be vertical, and I think the back edge has to be as well, or it won't work properly. I know you've got a great big half round one, and I have no idea how that's going to behave, but they really need to be vertical if they haven't got the big chunk stuck underneath to sort out the front edge. Every boat I've seen that hasn't got a big lump stuck out the bottom has got a vertical blade, because that makes it easy to steer. The bits of string he's messing around is, for this boat, 2 of them, one to pull it up and one to put it down. If you have a look on top of the tiller, you see that silver thing they're playing around with? There's no way that he can sail the boat all the way down there, because he can't reach, he's not long enough. But if that's stuck on with Velcro one end, and it's got a fitting the other end, so he can run it right up the middle of the boat. Now he can actually steer it while he's sat in the front. Can you put that green rope onto the this green rope? Hook it up. This isn't supposed to be on here. What we do is we hang another piece of rope over the top of our, hook it onto the clips. And what it does is it enables us to pretty much fix it. If we let go of the rudder, it stays where we left it, which means that we can actually get the boat to behave itself. If you're likely to fall off the boat, don't do it. Without it, the boat will probably turn around in a circle. If it's locked, it carries on in a straight line until it falls over, which might take it a while if there's not enough wind. Right, what have we missed? Centreboard. Oh right, okay. We'll try not to think about the centreboard because it's stuck on the trailer. While we're setting these sails, when we set these sails, we'll obey the same rules with this one as we obeyed with the last one. What we do is we look at it and work out where the wind's coming from. The way we work out where the wind's coming from is with our ears. We turn our heads from side to side, and when the noise of the wind hitting both of them is the same, you're facing the wind. And it will move. Even when you're sat on the boat going past a tree, it will move. Going past other boats, it will move. Clouds will move it, anything will move the wind, so you have to keep watching it. And what you want is that front edge pointed into the wind. So wherever the wind is, that's the direction it needs to be. You see there's a on the back of the sail there. When the wind's blowing over the front of the sail right, it comes off the back edge and gives more power, and those things actually stick straight out. See it moving? Well, that's because he's wobbling the sail. This sail's got 3 of them, which I think is about normal. Right. I don't think you need to worry about patterns and things because your sail's the wrong shape, so I ain't going to go into them. But those things are actually part of sailing the boat. They make it easier for you to tell what's going on. I presume there's probably people out there that are so good at it they don't need them, but I do. Along with a flag on the top which tells me where the wind is to start with. So, while I'm sitting in the boat, I'm watching the edge of my front sail to see if it starts to flutter. I'm starting to look at this, because if it's pointed too far into the wind, the front edge starts to wobble. So I can tell that I haven't got enough, I'm too close to the wind and I need to bear off or let the sail out. In, pull in. And then I watch my telltales, and if the telltales are curling around the back of the sail, that tells me that the back has been pulled in too far, so I need to let it out. That's what I'm actually using to sail the boat. There's probably lots more stuff that's more technical, but when it comes to sailing, that's your basics. Okay, I'm going to shut up now.